Hello, welcome to Tarot to a T. Today we're going to do a March 2023 reading for the sign of Libra. And if this is the first time to my channel, welcome Libra. If you're returning, a very warm welcome back. So this will be a general inquiry. What message does Libra need to hear for March 2023? Apparently that's the start of it right there. I also want to give a big shout out and thank you to anyone who subscribed and or donated to my virtual tip jar, which is on the Buy Me a Coffee site. I will tell you how to get to that link at the end of the reading. Right now we're concentrating on your message for March 2023. Cards of advice. Oh, okay. I had a little bit of a traffic jam there with those cards. It's all good though. Alright, I think it's time to get started. Jack of Hearts. So you might be dealing with a younger water sign. Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio. If this is you though, however, you could have water in your chart, of course. But if not, or you're not aware of it, it's just generally the card of having your heart open. I see it as like this young, open energy. But along with that also goes a sense of vulnerability. And that could be in any area of things. Not necessarily like you're going to be taken advantage of. Just that right now you're not feeling particularly defensive or closed off. Which is great. However, Queen of Spades is quite different. This could be you, actually. You could be dealing with a younger water sign who has their heart open to you, but you are on the defensive. Yeah, just read that pretty clearly. So the Queen of Spades, just let me tell you a little bit about her. If you've been here before, you've heard me talk about her energy. She holds back. She doesn't say what she's thinking or feeling, so people are suspicious of her. It's not that she's necessarily up to no good, and it's not necessarily female. I keep referring it to female, but we're not talking about genders. You could be involved with this younger water sign who's interested in you. I'm getting kind of that scenario, and you're just, I don't want to say you're cold, but you're not reacting, you're not responding. You know, you're a little standoffish, and they perhaps don't know where you're coming from. Six of Spades, whatever's going on is part of your destiny and fate. As a result, there's going to be opportunities here for you. In general, it's like doors opening up that were closed before because now you're in this experience, if that makes sense. Wow. Another 6. More options and opportunities here for personal growth. Yeah, you're going through what I perceive this to be as some kind of relationship, perhaps the beginning of a relationship, if you're being closed off and this person is being open. Again, with a water sign. And you're learning how to navigate through that. Now, it could be on the heels of coming out of, let's say, a past relationship that was particularly, it ended particularly badly. I think with your sign, we were looking at a relationship that ended later last year. And yes, things got ugly. It wasn't a smooth ride. It wasn't a smooth transition from being with that person to being single. So that could perhaps be where this persona that you're putting on is coming from. Just kind of that innate sense of needing to protect yourself, that defensiveness that other people perhaps don't understand on the outside, but you have your reasons, eh? Let's go ahead and see what else is going on for Libra. This is a kind of interesting read this is going to be. Yep, you have desire for closeness. You definitely want this companionship and this connection to somebody. This usually is just with one other person, not necessarily with a group or, a family per se. It's about having that one person that you can plug into and be cozy with. So you definitely have the desire there, if you're not showing it. It's being acknowledged here on the table, and we just had this fly across here. So there's some kind of change here going on with your finances. This is usually the result of a negotiation or settlement. Again, it could be the fallout from a past relationship that ended, that was long term, such as a marriage. It could be a negotiation of some other sort. It could be like a legal situation. Not necessarily with a spouse, just a legal issue that got settled. And perhaps you, I don't want to say profited from it, but you gained some kind of abundance or, compensation. That's the word I'm looking for, compensation from that. So that could be happening for you in March 2023, Libra. Ace of Hearts. You're definitely on this new start to follow your heart, your heart's desire. Could cover pretty much anything under the sun. Could definitely tie into relationship. Because you're putting yourself first. You are, what you truly desire and what you seek in another person is of utmost importance. It's not going to take the back seat anymore. That's what I'm hearing. It's not going to take the back seat. Wow, cards are getting rough now. Okay, we might be going into some rougher messages here. Yeah, there you go. Jack of Spades. So you're very, again, very cautious. This is it's air energy, so it definitely could be you. I just want to mention that. Or Gemini or Aquarius. But again, along with the Queen of Spades, I find it interesting. This is the card of distrust. You're just not trusting the process. There's suspicion with this card, and I will use the word paranoia. I know that triggers some people and don't like to be, referred to that way, but paranoia is, that suspicion that's not necessarily out there. But it's in your mind that there's things that could happen that could turn out badly. So again, it's a self-protective measure. I feel like you're very much in that mode of self-protection. It seems to be the highlight for you at the moment, especially in relationship. I do think this is about relationship. But you're growing here. I think you're going to learn from this experience, whatever this is going on with this water sign. Separation. Separation that affects you emotionally. Now, this could be like a recent separation, such as, let's say you have a grown child that's gone off to college, or you have a child or even a spouse that's gone off into the military. So it's not necessarily like a separation, like a divorce, although it could also encompass that. It could be a symbolic separation, that you're separated from something internally, such as your emotions. Separation as in what I was describing with this Jack of Spades, this Queen of Spades, being suspicious. The Queen of Spades is more dealing with the interaction with this water sign, whereas this is the internal experience overall, that you're not trusting things around you, how things are unfolding. I see it as a recent change, though, because the 5 denotes a change. So I don't know, maybe you were more open in the past. I don't remember your last reading, but I seem to remember something about you having your heart open. So I think perhaps you were looking, yeah, that's what it was. You not looking for a person specifically, but you were open to having a relationship come into your life. And now that it's potentially here, I don't think it's here in all its glory. You are kind of distancing yourself. Hence the separation, hence the change. You see my point? You were open for it, you were ready for it, but now you're like backing off. You're backing off. You're using Well, you're using caution, but I think you're just cautious in general. Again, there's this energy of you thought you wanted it, you thought you were ready, and then it triggered something in you that reminded you that you don't trust, not necessarily this person, but relationships in general. Yeah, recently something completed here that was a wish fulfillment. So this is actually that satisfaction of perhaps that past relationship being over and done with, not having to deal with any kind of legal issues with them or any kind of contact. You know, you've gone through your, if people still have record albums and CDs, you've gone through all the stuff that needed to be separated, like if you lived with them. There's none of that going back and forth and saying, oh, by the way, I found I found this pair of socks that belongs to you, and you have to like see them again. You know, all of that is done, and it was a wish fulfillment that on your behalf. That's probably what that wish fulfillment is. It could be another type of wish fulfillment not being shown in this reading, so take it how it fits your situation. This is a general reading. But you're feeling content in some way and satisfied, and something is at rest. Now the King of Diamonds can be a controlling earth sign. Not in the bad sense, necessarily. Just somebody who has some control and power over you. Earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. The thing about the King of Diamonds, I'm just pausing here because it has to do with some kind of abundance or finance with them. Usually, because the King of Diamonds has a very good practical mind and attitude around finances, for example. They're very good with money. It can be business sense that I'm picking up for that. It could be because you had this wish fulfillment of something completing, perhaps the remainder of the settlement, because I didn't forget about that. Five of Diamonds talks about that negotiating and settlement. Now you feel in control of your finances. It could be as simple as that. So the focus here is on this relationship and how you're responding or not responding to it, because it's like you're frozen. You're frozen. You're like a deer in the headlights, if you know what that means. You're like, you don't quite know what to do, so you're going to do nothing. And maybe even run the wrong way, because that's what deer tend to do. If they're blinded, they run the wrong way because they don't know which way to go. Anyway, get that imagery out of your mind. Let's go ahead and look at your advice. The Queen of Diamonds. Again, a focus on finance and abundance. Queen of Diamonds I tend to associate with Taurus. So maybe a Taurus that you can consult about your newfound wealth, if that's, a situation for you. Or it just could be you kind of having still that control and authority over your financial future. It's just she's a little bit more gentle about it. I don't know really how to relate that, because the King of Diamonds and the Queen of Diamonds are both kind of in that position. It's just the King just seems to be a little bit more dominant. And maybe here is just kind of like letting go some of that control. Like you don't need to be that overbearing about it. Like if you're being really, really super frugal and I am the master of my kingdom, it's maybe asking you to back off from that that mindset. Like it's not necessary. I just keep hearing it's not necessary. Okay, 3 of Diamonds, 6 of Diamonds. We still have a finance focus here. And this is your cards of advice. So there's a little bit of confusion around money with the 3 of Diamonds. This could be where this Queen of Diamonds energy is coming in. So the staunchness, the firmness of this king, if you soften it, it's acknowledging here that you have some indecision around finances. Again, I think you are in some kind of abundant situation. You're not quite sure how to proceed. The Six of Diamonds is interesting though, because it talks about options and opportunities being thrown your way, and you being able to take financial responsibility. So it kind of says the confusion you have, or the indecision, let's put it that way, the indecision you have is kind of, I want to say it cancels it out, because you have a lot of options and opportunities for you. That just could be the reality. That there's too many choices, for example, too many ways to invest it. Maybe in your mind there's just too many things you want to do with it. But it's saying that you have a lot of options and opportunities to take financial responsibility. And that's what's driving your indecision. Wow. I was expecting that. Darkest card that's come out, really, so far. This is the ultimate end of a chapter that ended in disappointment, grief, loss. Can be the end of a marriage, can be the end of a major cycle in your life that was particularly traumatic. It usually involves some kind of process of grieving and healing, and it goes on for a long time. But actually, I see it as a positive in your advice here. It's saying it's behind you. You see where I'm getting with that? So it's not that it's coming your way. It's just that you need to let go of that. It's behind you. It's in the past. And I do remember your readings, Libra, being about a particularly bad relationship. And there were a lot of elements to it. It wasn't a simple, okay, we're not working anymore, goodbye. It kind of dragged out, and there were a lot of complicating factors in it. But that's behind you, and look where you're headed. You're headed on this solo effort to really to achieve something for yourself. This is the entrepreneurship card. I mean, you may be thinking about starting up a business, or if you're not, I tend to see this as just you taking the initiative in a direction, investing energy and time into something that's going to reap great rewards for you. So again, I would focus on the fact that whatever this was in your past, this dark time in your past, this is completed, it's over. You can truly turn your back to it. And I think you just have a lot of decisions right now to make around finances, but you do have a lot of options and opportunities. I just see that as very positive. But you notice it is focusing on taking financial responsibility, which to me always means paying down debt. It really does. I'm perhaps talking to a Libra who has a lot of different types of debt. You just don't owe money for a car or a home. You actually have a lot of credit cards, or you have medical bills, and so maybe that's where a little bit of the indecision is. But the darkness is behind you, and you're going to come out, you're going to reap the rewards over the long term of doing this on your own, if that makes sense. And I think that Queen of Diamonds is kind of the position it's asking you to take. I mean, you can kind of, I don't know, if you do have that Taurus in your chart, that would actually fit very well, of course. But if you don't have Taurus in your chart, for example, just kind of maybe do a little research on Taurus in finances, because having stability in Taurus's life, and just tell you that about Tauruses, is one of their most primary concerns. If they don't have that stability, and I mean like money in the bank, a place to live, they're on solid ground, they don't survive well. That's too disruptive to their routine and their world. So you can think of it that way. And it is encouraging you here to start on a new start. In particular, learning a new skill or gaining some new information or knowledge. perhaps just exploring. Not sure what that pertains to. I mean, we didn't see anything in here on career. But maybe just exploring different interests that you have that you never had time for in the past. I find it interesting that so far we haven't gone back to this relationship where you're feeling reserved. Maybe it's asking you not to focus on that right now. It just occurred to me. Instead, focus on your financial health and getting things straight with that and gaining new knowledge. It seems to be, it seems to be taking you in a new direction for some reason, perhaps unseen. The Two of Spades. This is generally some kind of rift that happens between you and another person, not necessarily romantic. It could be family or friends. Or it's also a permanent split from a situation. Again, I see this as a confirmation of leaving this behind. Asking you to turn your back on it, for sure. I do. I certainly see that as... It's just asking you to cut that off, whatever that is. And you do have balance here in your finances. Another confirmation. Balance and harmony. Honestly, I'll just say this: if you are in a relationship with somebody, this does talk about finances being particularly healthy in a relationship between two people. But if you're not in a relationship, I just see it as you have that balance and stability just on your own, which is fantastic. I see that as encouragement again. If you're having conflict, inner conflict about decisions to be made about taking financial responsibility, just a reminder that you are in a very good place, but you are stressed about it with this Three of Spades. Perhaps, again, referring back to being pulled in a couple different directions. I didn't mention with the Three of Diamonds, that does talk about being pulled in different directions. So again, I see it as different types of debt, different ways that you want to use the finances to allocate what things you're going to pay off first. I see that as the source of stress with this as well. You have stress around finances and perhaps lingering stress from what happened in the past. It hasn't been revealed here, but perhaps you are, the tarot knows, the universe knows that you're hanging on to feelings that don't serve you anymore from that past situation. Actually, that actually rings true here. Now, it just occurred to me. It could be the source of you holding back and not letting yourself pursue this. Because let's not forget, this is truly what you want. You want that companionship again with somebody who's healthy. And you're not trusting the process. You're not trusting the process. So somewhere in there, it's making the connection that you need to trust yourself in the financially, because I think you have both things on your plate at the moment, and you need to let go of this past. And I think that will help clear this up. That's kind of the sense I'm getting. I'll be honest. And this is the card, it just flew out across the table, if you didn't see it off the edge of the camera there, but this is the card of needing to leave a bad work situation. Now, I know we didn't talk anything about, a work situation here. Let's say that whatever this struggle you're going through here and making these decisions, perhaps it's become like a job to you. And it's acknowledging that you're overworking in that area. Maybe, in other words, you're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. And it does talk about needing to relieve the stress because, again, we just had that Three of Spades come out. So you're stressed, and it's acknowledging, again, you're stressed. That stress needs to go away. It's probably linked to those... In other words, I see a person who's... How do I say this? So they're focused on the stress around the finances, but that's not truly the problem. The real problem is the past relationship. It's the emotions, not necessarily the relationship itself, but the emotions around it. Like you never like got out the anger, as an example, or you never really truly got out the pain. And it's affecting you and sabotaging your life in the present. In this relationship, for sure, because of this stuff that's coming out, but also this conflict here, which is, you know, it's kind of minor, but it really isn't, because it's obviously stressing you out. And more than it should. It's disproportionate. I'm going to ask for another card of advice, but I am going to close this off. I think I just kind of nailed it. At least it settled in my mind what is going on with you in March, okay? Jack of Diamonds, yeah, it's a very new situation for you to have this wealth, this abundance. That Jack energy is young energy. It also could mean a younger earth sign, but I don't think that's what it's talking about. I just think it's about the inexperience that you're going through. So to me, that's give yourself a break. Know that you actually are in a very balanced financial situation. And cut yourself off from this past grief, pain, anger, whatever form it takes. There's something in there that has not been acknowledged, and it's demanding that it come to the light. And it will probably release you from a lot of this. Wow, that's pretty complex reading there, Libra. I'm wiped out. I mean, it's enjoyable, but just hanging around, well, I shouldn't say hanging around, but keeping up with the curves and the way this thing it just went through so many different scenarios and emotions, but I think I did a pretty good job of keeping up with the central themes. I hope you agree with that. If you do, go ahead and hit like on the video, please. And if you would like to see when the next reading comes out, go ahead and hit subscribe. Notifications. I hope this gave you some insight and helps you in your situation. And if you are interested in making that small donation, that link can be found in the bottom of the description box. You copy and paste that into your browser and it will take you right there. It's really simple. And thank you in advance if you are able to do that, okay? Okay, hang in there, and I will see you again soon, Libra.